Welcome to Tired and Bored. Our guest is Forenzik Styles with the album Styles.
¿Qué pasa, mi amigo?
This is Forenzik Styles.
How's it going?
Hey! And he's got a new album. And I'm Matthias Danici, and this is Tired and Bored. And we are neither of those things right now.
Yeah, I might be one of those things right now, but I'll let you decide which one.
And this is LaCroix, not sponsored.
Nice.
Okay, so your new album. What's your new album?
So I just dropped a new album called Styles, and I think part of the reason why I chose that name is because as a whole the project is extremely reflective, and it's a lot of my work is really personal, but this particular project just seems to kind of like walk through the last like few years and change, and in like a really interesting way. It's not meant to be like brooding or like I'm so like misunderstood or like whatever like that. It's just more of like a
no one understands my pain.
Parents just don't understand.
I'm gonna rap it until you do.
But it's very like personal though. A lot of my work is that way. I really changed my writing style on this too, which I guess was another reason why I chose that name, because I wanted each word on the album to have as much impact as possible. So, and if you listen to actually the last track on the album, it's called New Soul, and it was actually the first song that I wrote for the album and the first song recorded too.
And you put it at the end.
Yeah, and I knew from the start that that song encapsulated most of the shit I wanted to talk about. And so if you listen to the rest of the album, even down to a lot of the track titles, it incorporates a lot of elements that you hear in that track. So pretty cool. It's definitely just like a new look into the way that I'm presenting myself as an artist and my work too.
That's good. So you're kind of like packaging it in a theme, in a sense.
Right. And I really like, as far as production, so I know we were talking, I do all my own production, so I compose all my own instrumentals. I mix and master all my own tracks. I do all my own studio sessions. And so I had a sound that I was really going for with this too. It was a lot more soulful. Like my last project, White Noise, was a lot more experimental. And it was everything I wanted it to be. You know, I was playing with different sounds and sampling, and everything was like eerie and different and cavernous and whatever. But this one I wanted to be a little more like bright and like soulful and like very rhythmic. And so yeah, that was it. You'd be shocked at how many songs didn't make the cut for that reason.
Do you have 48 songs somewhere?
Well, it took me, yeah, sort of. I mean, it took me almost 2 years to make this album, and there's
That's
like
discipline right there.
Yeah, and you really have to be like your own like project manager. Yeah. But there's like 20 plus, maybe 30 songs on my computer that never got finished or made the cut, or even if they did get finished, they weren't right for the project.
So all right, so that's my next question is like, how would you say your writing process is? Like, what do you start? Do you start with an instrument first?
Well, first off,
on the toilet, write down some lyrics.
That's actually how I write every song. No, it's crazy. So doing all my own production work and writing all my own songs uses like totally different halves of my brain. And for that reason, it's like really tough for me to do both at the same time. There's like the rare occasion where I'll make a beat and I'll be like really into it and I'm like, this is the one, and I'll like write to it like at that moment. But even then, it's like hard for me to jump back and forth from like because in a way, when I make beats, it's like more mechanical, and when I write, it's more like expressive.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like the instrumentation itself is expressive through like a subconscious level. Like the
Okay.
sound itself is expression, but like putting it into words is like a totally separate cognitive function. So I usually, for a project, what I'll do is I'll make all of the beats ahead of time, and it's a process. It takes a long time to know, like, to figure out what it is that you want while you're doing it. But so I'll
Yeah.
make all the beats and then write to all of the beats that I've selected for the project. And then after I have like a foundation of what I'm really going for, um, then I start the recording process. And from there, I mean, I could be inspired to make a new song on an instrumental that I had written before.
Mm.
That does happen. Some of my favorite work too is so improvisational. It just like came from something I thought sounded cool, and I wanted to work with it
It
more.
just comes out of the other world.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And it ends up just becoming like, fuck, this is like, I was thinking about it too much, and like this is what I should have been doing.
And that's an issue too, is when you're recording and you're overthinking it and you're like, and you redo it so many times and then you just end up back in the place that you started.
Well, that's so for the vocal performance too, that's super key, because
Yeah.
if you try to like have inflections the same way every time and it's not as natural as it could be, yeah, you're gonna just at the end be like, wrong. So do it again.
Yeah, that's just that's hard, because anytime I write music, it's always playing it on the guitar or making some type of music. Lyrics are always dead last. I never do lyrics. And actually, a lot of my songwriting is just never getting around to the lyrics. Like, ever.
Yeah. You know, I did something like really, so I made like a R&B song, and I've always experimented with a lot more like harmonies and stuff in my music, and you can like hear that on Pick the Movie or Ocean Eyes or like whatever. But I wrote this R&B song that never got released, but I personally was like, I love this song. Like, I don't think anyone else will like this song, but I love this song. And so I like posted a clip of the instrumental on Instagram, and this R&B singer hit me up, just like people hit me up all the time, and they're like, yo, bro, what's up, bro? Can you do some shit for me for free, bro?
Yeah, it's always for free.
And yeah, but this guy was offering to pay, and what he wanted me to do, he's like, yo, I really like that beat. Do you like do any ghostwriting at all? And I was like, I mean, I
guess.
Yeah. That's what I should have said. You would have been like, all right, cool, I'm gonna catch you later.
I hate Patrick Swayze.
Well, so I just told him yeah, and I sent him that song, and I was like, you should just like perform. Basically, I was like, I wrote this.
This is from a famous artist in India.
I was like, I wrote this, but if you're like trying to pay me and recreate this song, because he has a much better singing voice than I do, then I just noticed your screen went off, by the way. I don't know if you want to turn that off.
Okay. That's
fine. There we go. I was going to say, we could always edit that out later, but anyway.
No, it's fine. It's part of the process.
The people need to see it, man.
People need to see the truth, man.
So this guy, I sent him the song, and he's like, yo, I love it. And I didn't email him the song, by the way. I sent him a private link that he could listen to, so I could like track the amount of times that he listened to it, and so that he couldn't just like have it. I mean, he could have been like super devious and try to like download it through whatever, but most people aren't going to do that on like their first. They're not going to be like, I'm really fucking this guy over. So So I sent it to him, and he's like, I love it, and it's really like some shit I'm going through right now. And I was like, great. So, and then I reset the link so that he couldn't hear it anymore. And I was like, as soon as you send the payment, I'll send you the tracks.
Yeah.
And I'll write down the lyrics. And then he never sent it. And I was like, of course, man, of course. That shit, dude, that type of stuff happens so often. It's crazy.
That's one thing people have. Discipline. It's hard to do.
He actually unfollowed me on Instagram after that.
Yeah.
And then like 2 weeks ago, recently refollowed me.
It's probably.
And I was like, yo, I'm like, what do you want, man? Like, I don't know what else you want me to do. Like, I was just like, what do you want? If he hit me up again and was like, yo, bro, I know it's been a while, I would be like, man, fuck off, dude. I did that to one guy. I sent him a beat when I was like first starting to branch out with other artists. And so the beat was like one of my better ones at the time.
Mm-hmm.
I've made a lot of progress since then, but at the time I was like, this is really fucking good.
This is my magnus opus.
But I gave it to him for free because I like to support artists that I like. And at the time, I was like, it might be good for me to have an artist who I think their work is cool getting on a track that I made. And now I'm a lot more exclusive because I kind of have that like presence. So if I like do any free work, it's like I really fuck with you at that point.
Yeah.
So, and there's like a handful of artists that I'll do free work for, but I won't mention who, just because I don't want anyone to ever see this and then be like, bro, well, you did it for. But
that was you.
Yeah, but totally free. Oh yeah, so
beats.
Yeah, so I sent this beat to this guy, and he hit me up like a month later and was like, yo, can you resend that beat? I lost it. Oh no, it wasn't even a month. It was like 6 months later. After ignoring ignoring a message, yo, how's that track coming? Hey, what's going on, man? Nothing like invasive, just wanted to know.
Yeah.
And then he's like, yo, can you resend that beat? I lost it. And then I was like, yeah, it's $100. And then I like never heard from him again. I was like, dude, if you're gonna lose a free beat, like, go fuck yourself, dog. Like,
how do you lose stuff? How do you use digital stuff?
Yeah, bro, can you give me some of your art that you spent time on for free?
For free?
Oh, shit,
I lost it.
I lost it.
Yeah. Go try that with Apple. I lost my iPhone. Yeah, oh, too bad.
Yeah, try that with a painter. Yo, can I get that painting for free, dog?
Yeah,
shit, I lost it. Can I get another one? It's a little different because you can't like. Oh yeah, I'll save another copy, but. Yeah.
So what artists you like on Instagram right now?
I'm a big fan of my peers, and I really like. So first off, I should probably mention that I'm the founding member of a music and art collective that's like started in Florida. It's called YC Collective, and it's like an interesting story. The name doesn't really like mean anything. I always just tell people it means young creatives so that they stop asking me, but it really doesn't mean anything. It started off as like something else, and that's where like it came from. But so big support to everybody in that. Swerve the Hooligan, Trey Godfella, Pseudo Ra, your boy Low Boy Supercomputer, aka Stefan Alvarado, who does all my cover art. And we give him shit for that Instagram name like relentlessly. But I'm really into like some other artists that I've worked with who I'm really into their music are Fresco Van Gogh out of New York, and Puff and Lie and the Greenery Academy out of South Florida. Who all I've like put out songs with.
And Picasso
I'm
Dali.
also Da Vinci,
Leonardo DiCaprio, Da Vinci.
Leonardo DiCaprio, the painter. No, but I'm also really into. So I'm doing a lot of work right now with this artist called Los,
Okay.
and he's out. He's living in Texas right now. But we've been putting in a ton of work on
Just
this like new,
LOS? Los?
yeah, LOS, and it's on this new project that he's about to put out, and I've got a handful of beats on there, and I've mixed and mastered most of the tracks so far.
Oh, nice.
And, that's gonna be fucking awesome, man. I've done a lot of like executive mixing work like that though. So like I mix and mastered all of Swerve the Hooligan's debut project, Contradictions to My Addiction, and I mixed and mastered all of Trey Godfella's debut project, Dysfunctional Adolescent, which is really good, came out last year. Both of those projects are like classics. And I mentioned before I mix and master all of my own work as well.
Yeah.
So Not Today was my first tape in 2015. White Noise was kind of what I consider my like debut album, just mainly because of the platforms I released it on.
Yeah.
And then Styles, which is like the follow up.
But you feel like Styles is your more solid, more thought out than White?
I would definitely say the progression like speaks for itself. I mean, you can hear it, and you know that like the effort has been put in, and like the shit is just like there, and
yeah, you're getting the hang of the tools.
Yeah. Yeah.
Master of his domain.
It's crazy, man. Mixing is like just as important to me as any other element of the music. And and that's why it's like that's why the songs come out like crisp. And that's why the songs like
well, it's like video editing. That's like one of the you can get the best footage for stuff you want, but if you're not editing it the right way, it's gonna just turn out like shit.
Right.
Like pretty much any Chris Nolan movie. I can get the hate.
Edit it like yeah.
Because whoever he has edited his movies, it's all over the fucking place. Like 1 second there's like Bane and he's like taking a shit on the toilet, and then there's some guy in an ice patch, and then there's like Batman eating a quesadilla, and then you don't know what the fuck's going on.
I'm like super into film too, so I totally know what you mean. And I really want to do more like visual projects.
Which is what, I like doing that. Do you feel like you're more comfortable producing and editing for other people than your own work? Do you feel like you're more of a control freak or perfectionist with your own stuff versus someone else's?
That's tough because so when you work with other artists, they always have a vision for how they want the song to sound. And so when I'm listening to it as a first-time listener who wasn't there for the recording process. And if I think it sounds good, they're coming to me also for my opinion on it too. If I'm gonna be like, hey man, this sounds like shit, but I can like fix that for you. So, so if I send it back to them though, there's always it's like a really common thing to have them be like, it sounds good except for X, Y, and Z. Can you fix that? And then I always expect that, and I'll be like, yeah, it's fine. I'll turn up whatever the ad libs, or I'll put an effect on something. So with my own music, it's kind of like a blessing and a curse because I have a vision for how I want it to sound.
Yeah.
And then I'll just fucking like tweak it forever. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And never. Maybe for 2 years.
Yeah. So it's, you know what, my first time like getting super into mixing was with Not Today, which is my first tape, and that's because I got a microphone and I was like just learning how to mix, and I got some like college textbooks and I had started to read them, and so that took me almost a year to make that tape, and I think that was 11 tracks. And then White Noise took me over a full year, like 4 hours a day, 6 hours a day, 8 hours a day, whatever.
Just messing around.
And then Styles took me about 2 years, maybe a little less, but about that long. So I'm really putting in like the work to these projects. And the crazy thing is like when you listen to them, it's like, I would like to believe at least that when you're listening to them, the work
you could tell
comes through,
Yeah.
So
No, that's really admirable that you could, teach yourself, learn it, and then stick to it. Just do it and do it and do it. And I think that's the best way to learn, is just to do your own projects. You could be with anything. It could be artwork, it could be coding on the web, it could be, porn. Just do it by yourself.
I don't know about that one, but that is a good point, though. I mean, there's like no artist that ever didn't get better by doing. You know who's a good example is Picasso, because he like mastered every formal art style and then basically like invented, his like surreal whatever. I don't want to say the wrong like period of art, but like cubism and stuff like that, and like expression through like a lot more abstract shapes. And it's funny because you hear all these like people who don't really understand art, and they're like, well, I could draw squiggles too all day.
I could draw squiggles too.
And
well, they
like,
don't understand that the squiggles was like a branding that no one was doing at the time.
But I'm like, but you couldn't do that.
You couldn't do that squiggle.
Shut the fuck up, man.
Well, it's the point. It's two things. It's the point that he drew the squiggle and then sold the squiggle.
Right, and it's also that he can, use oil paint to make a absolutely real-looking still life, and chose to do the other expressive method anyway. So, but you're gonna have your hands full with that topic in a couple days. So.
I am.
Yeah.
I'm going in uncharted territory there. Like, I know a little bit, but I'm a simpleton, and when it comes to illustration and styles.
It's going to be super interesting, though, I'm telling you.
I'm sure it will be. So, are you playing any games right now? You have time?
I play a lot of Overwatch.
Oh, okay. All right.
So,
and we have something we can talk about. Who's your main?
I don't know if I have a main, but I definitely cycle back and forth like through super frequent characters. I play like D.Va and Pharah a lot.
You're not one of those dirty Hanzos?
No. But I mean, whatever. Like,
or defense Genji.
To avoid something like as nerdy as possible, so I was like playing today, and I was playing like a competitive round, and I was like just getting fucking destroyed. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, who's like the cheapest character I could play right now to just like fucking absolutely annihilate this other team? And so I picked Bastion, and it was a payload mission. And I just squatted on the payload and like mowed everybody down. I was like, God, I almost like hated myself for doing it. I was like, this is fucked.
I feel dirty.
what have I done, man?
And you go take a shower.
Yeah.
I'm between a Reinhardt, and then I love Genji just because I like killing Bastions with it, where I just sneak up and go and reflect all that shit right back at him. But mainly, Genji, I'm a Reinhardt. Reinhardt and Mei, I'd say I play the most. It's been a while. Oh,
man. How could I respect that? No, I'm just kidding. No, my old roommate is like the best Reinhardt player I've ever seen in my life. He used to go on competitive. So, dude, we were like... So we have conflicting accounts of this story, but it's really only on the location.
Yeah.
I thought I was at his apartment, and he's like, dude, no, we were at your apartment. And this was before we were...
That's where it ends, and then everything else is the same.
Yeah, no, that's the story. No, but we were like really stoned, and we weren't like doing anything of consequence. And he's like just bought a PS4 and got over. Well, he just bought a PS4, and he was setting up his account. And he's like, dude, what should my name be on there? And we were like really into Trailer Park Boys at the time.
Oh yeah.
And so we just started typing, and he's like, Sam Squanch. And then I started typing, and I went 42069.
Yeah.
And that's his gamer tag. So if you're out there and you're watching, go
Since
ahead and.
42069.
Anyway.
I had a JavaScript developer recruiter contact me, and when you're getting in that field, you get contacted constantly, like 4 times a day, because that's how they make money now. Is they just trade you around like your meat. And this guy called me, and this is like the 5th. Huh?
You're in coding and software development, is that right?
Yeah, like JavaScript and React and stuff like that. I'm doing a lot of learning. Like, I've always been in web development before as a past job, and then I'm getting back into it again, but more on the programming side of it. But when you have certain things you put out there, the recruiters just go like crazy. Anything with JavaScript or React or whatever. So they call you, and I got like the 5th call that day, and it was this British gentleman from Miami, and he's like, so what's your work email? And by this point, I just want to mess with them because they're just trying to use me. And I'm like, it's longballs42069. He's like, I'm like, that's my business email.
At IBM.com.
At gmail.com. Okay, I'm going to ask this. We answered this before. All right, we'll say, what's your 5 favorite songs? Favorite all-time songs. I can't read my own.
So I'll give you
1.
Time.
That's
okay. Mama by Kendrick Lamar.
okay.
Time by Pink Floyd.
Got it.
Nights by Frank Ocean. This is like my favorite today as of right now.
As of right now. As of 2018 in February.
Right. Now we've got, let's see,
Fruit Salad by the Wiggles.
Oh, yeah, shit, bro. You fuck with the Wiggles? I'm really into, like, anything by No Worries right now. So, like, Best One, or, Suede, or Link Up. Might be my last 3. No, I don't know.
So you got 1, 2, 3, and then 4 A, B, C, D, E.
Okay, so you're asking for my top 50, right? No. Oh, fuck. Fear by Kendrick Lamar.
Okay.
That's like one of the best songs I've ever heard.
But it's number 4.
Yeah, dude, there's like, that's like an unfair question to ask me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, dude, do me a favor and just pick out your 4 favorite stars in the sky right now. Please. And I'll be like,
that one.
fuck. So
that would probably be a lot easier than picking out your 4 favorite songs.
Yeah, let's leave it at that.
Okay.
I'll just sit here for the rest of my life and be like, you know, I really shouldn't have picked number 3 like that.
Okay, so
I'll put one more Frank Ocean song on there, Bad Religion.
Okay.
Yeah. There we go.
Heard it.
I cut myself off.
All right, here's a good question. What is your favorite song you created?
My favorite song I've ever created is probably New Soul, which is the last song on the new album.
Okay. And you feel like, and why? Why do you like that one over all your other songs?
I mean, it's kind of whatever arrogant to say, but it's kind of like Lil Wayne. I mean, I am a fan of my own music. I listen to it like all the time.
Yeah.
So I don't listen to it like, man, everybody else sucks. But you know, I listen to it and like, you know, I feel like it's not going to be.
Needs to masturbate to survive.
Well, it's also just not going to be good if you don't enjoy what you're making.
Never trust anyone who doesn't say they don't masturbate.
I'll make a note of that. So, but I like New Soul because it just really, in one song, I felt like I said so much with every single word. And it was the first song that I really evolved my writing style with because I like slowed down the pace and made like each word have the absolute most impact that I could. Also, I'm a really big fan of the instrumental because it has the same soulful vibe as the rest of the record, but there's no samples on it. So it's all an original composition. And I do that on each of my records. So if I have a record that has a lot of sampling on it, there will always be one song, at least, if not more, that has no samples on it.
Mm.
I don't know how I got started doing that, but that was just like, I just really wanted to do that. But my first tape, Not Today, there just are no samples on it. It's 11 tracks of original composition. And
that's great.
Which made it a little more like experimental, but as soon as I learned that like you don't have to be so reliant on a sample when you're producing that it like is the entire melody.
Yeah.
And I got like super creative with like how I chopped and how I like arranged all that shit. I realized like this is like what makes hip hop so unique. You know what I mean? You're repurposing something in an original way that no one else can recreate.
You're almost like HDTV. You're just like opening up the kitchen and making an open concept. And make your vomit in your mouth a little bit.
I don't know if I'm on
You're
board
renovating.
with that one, I don't know if I'm too on board with that one. We'll see. But yeah, so that's
just
probably
renovating, dog.
Yeah.
That's great. Do you feel like that was the song that kind of just got you along with your whole new album? That just like kind of started it all, made you have that like aha moment?
It really set the tone for sure because every time every time I put on a new album, it's like tripping almost because it's just this like wildly personal experience that you're like sharing now. And in between that, I need to like take a break. So I'll work on a project like day in and day out for like, I told you, like literally years. And then, which is so funny because someone would be like, oh, would you do that in a couple months? And I'll be like, yeah, you know, not quite. But, so I'll take a break and I'll just get really into like doing production for fun. So I usually make a lot of my best beats in that like window, and then I'll put out beat tapes on like YouTube or whatever, and usually that ends up kickstarting an idea for a new project. So like I put out White Noise, and then I put out some beat tapes that I really liked called Clouds and The Calm Down. Shout out to Kenny Rout, my brother, who does all of my cover art for my beat tapes. So Stefan Alvarado does all the cover art for my albums, and then Kenny does all the cover art for my beat tapes. And Stefan's out of New York, and Kenny's out of LA. And I love the like difference of that too because their styles are very different. So Stefan's style is more like he's very like clean line perfectionist and sticks with like
Japanese Art Deco.
Well, and he's really good at like building up a concept for a piece, whereas Kenny can take that same concept and express it in this like wildly expressive way. Like his work has so much like emotion and expression in it. It's almost like you're like looking at a still of something like in motion.
It's like beautiful ugliness.
Well,
you know what I mean? It's so like, it's like dirty and raw.
Right.
When you're looking at it. But it's like, it's ugly, but it's beautiful at the same time, where you can just kind of feel it vibrating when you look at it.
Yeah. I don't know if ugly is the word I use.
But Ugly is beautiful too.
I definitely agree with you on like the rawness of the product. Like you're looking at it and you're just like, damn, that's art. So, and Stefan's work is fucking incredible. I mean, they're both super talented. They both same graduating class at Ringling, roommates in college, and obviously Kenny's my brother and Stefan was one of my best friends since I was a kid. So, I mean, since I was like 14 and I fucking was an asshole to him at school, and then the rest is history. So
that's usually how it begins.
Yeah, right? That just seems like that's how it goes.
Yeah.
No, but great guys, though.
So what do you feel... Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No worries.
What do you feel is the hardest part of making your album?
Separating production from writing is probably the hardest part for me personally, because, and we talked about this before, but what you have to do, I say you, but what I have to do is...
Yeah, I understand second person.
Yeah, man, I went to school too.
I'm not your English teacher. That's not professional.
Oh God, I'm gonna get a B or whatever. So I really have to like separate which like half of my brain I'm working with, and so the production aspect of it is a lot more mechanical, and the writing aspect of it is so much more like poetic and like expressive. Mm-hmm. So, and I like using the terms that the music is like subconsciously expressive, and then the lyrics are like very self-aware and expressive. So it's almost like the soul and the body coming together. And wow, never thought of it like that, but that's kind of wild. But anyway, it is sort of like that because the music is like the fiber of it, and then the lyrics are like what that fiber means, I guess, you know?
Yeah.
And that's probably a big reason why I like to have one track on each of my projects too that is just an instrumental.
Well, the instrumental, I feel like without lyrics, instrumental is a universal thing. It attaches to anybody, people. Because it's mathematical, it invokes feeling, it sounds, it's timbres, it just attaches to people. So there's no bias when you just have instrumental. And then the lyrics are like... And
sometimes, you know, that's a good point, because sometimes a good beat can get ruined by a fucking trash artist.
Trash lyrics.
Yeah. You'll hear a song and you'll be like, man, that beat is like moving. And then you'll hear the lyrics and it's like, man, I hope y'all ready for the most political song of 2018, baby. And it's like, oh, shit.
Why? Disgust me. All right, so it's time for that segment. Do you got your phone ready? We're going to read out 5 junk emails.
So do I have to read 5 of my junk emails?
Yeah, 5. You can just skim through, pick some good ones. I could just easily go on one of my older accounts and find some good ones. It's usually Russian love of some sort.
I wonder how many are going to be like, you owe this fucking bill. Please pay your bill.
Here, I'll start. That way I'll give you a little time.
I'm like afraid to open some of these.
I'll pick out the first one just random. Discreet service, beautiful singles. The only site that gets you a girl. There are lots of gorgeous women on this site. Please be discreet. Ooh, blood filter complications.
Jesus.
Oh, here's the better one. I'll go on my other email account. Let's see. I always get good ones on that one. Oh, here's this one. This one's good already. Do you still want to fuck me? I've heard you need money. Don't watch my link. It's dangerous consciousness. This method of earnings blows up a brain.
Man, you gotta stop looking at so much porn.
I saw it, and who puts their email address in for porn anymore? What? You know how this works?
Yeah, right. Who does that?
My porn email. Oh, I just got a new porn. I adore men with a good appetite in the sack. Maybe never use this dating site. It's that reverse psychology. They're onto something. Here's a full debauchery and shameless maids. I beg, don't click this link. Alright, your turn.
Oh, what the fuck? When did I get this email? I am not clicking on this link.
No, do not click on that link.
I got an email from one of my old bosses to a link, and part of the link is my kangaroo. I'm not clicking on that shit.
Don't. Do you think it's phishing?
Okay, that same guy had his shit hacked when I worked there, and sent out an email. It's like, please, I'm like trapped in like Siberia or like some place. Like I need. Okay, let's see.
I need train money.
Craig Threadless. No, you hang up. There's still time. And then it's like a bunch of shirts. Let's see.
You need to start subscribing to more porn sites is the issue.
Yeah, right? I think I'm alright, but these are all boring. Kevin Bacon. The Kevin Bacon race is back. 20% off.
The Kevin Bacon race?
I think this is like I ran like a 5K like a while ago, and I think that it's like...
And he's running in it?
Damn, I didn't know this was a thing. The Great American Bacon Race.
What?
Whoa, dude, people are dressed up as bacon.
As Kevin Bacon?
This is too much.
Or just
people
bacon?
People are dressed as bacon.
Oh my god.
Yo, listen, I think the bacon thing is out of control, man. I like bacon, but people need to chill.
That brings me to my next subject. What do you find to be bullshit right now? What is the thing that just gets you?
Well...
Without politically sabotaging yourself.
I have to acknowledge that I have a Mothers Against Drunk Driving email in my spam somehow. Anyway... They must have known about me when I was younger. No,
yeah.
Anyway, not really. No, you know what I'm saying.
They just don't know how to drunk drive right.
Yeah, I sent back if you guys need lessons. No, I'm just kidding. But so what do I think is bullshit?
Yeah.
Facebook. And Facebook is bullshit. Yep. I mean, I don't know even where to begin on that. So first off, Facebook is just so full of negative energy, and it makes people so incapable of like giving an entire fuck about things. And what I mean by that, it's like, it sounds like that's just like a non sequitur, like I'm just saying something like whatever, but like think about it. You're on your feed and you see a video about a car accident where like a family dies, and you're like, oh fuck, that sucks, man. And then you scroll down and then you see a video about like Trump passing some legislation. I no longer think babies should be held, and you're like, what the fuck? What the hell? And then it goes on the next thing. It's a video of a puppy. It's a video of a puppy, and you're like, oh, okay, that swing of emotion and shit. So, and that logical swing too, making you like incapable to fully like grasp the weight of what you're looking at and empathize with whoever you're looking at. It's not healthy for you. It's not like for your psyche. You know what I mean?
I feel like Facebook, if it was manifested as a human, would be that extremely bipolar uncle with like the alcohol issue that's just rambling about babies and then
you're like
school shootings and then puppies.
You're talking about this again, huh?
Yeah, and then Trump. And then we have, oh look, the hurricane hit, but there was that's something I hate, is complete bullshit. That hurricane that hit Florida here, Irma, because I was here during that. They were like, Sarasota was protected, there was a heart, and we have the radar that there was a heart, and then there was a hurricane before that, and you're like, the devil's eyes in the hurricane, and it's like some badly photoshopped image of like an eye on the hurricane.
It's like a kid in a devil costume, like, I think that stuff is like people trying to rationalize coincidence. But one thing that I think is really cool, however, is I do think it's tight that there's that urban legend about Sarasota that it was like nicknamed by the Indians the land between the winds. Like the Native Americans referred to it as that.
Yeah.
And so because of that, whenever a hurricane doesn't hit, I'm like, shit, man. Couldn't call it.
But if you think of all the areas a hurricane can hit, and then based on the size of it and all kinds of stuff.
Right? Wow,
It's
the
like-
Native Americans care about 100,000 people, but the rest of them are fucked. No, I lived when I was living in Orlando for a long time too. Like, I just think it's that like Florida has like good luck and bad luck with that type of shit sometimes. Like Hurricane Charlie, I remember I visited Arcadia after Hurricane Charlie hit, and it was like a mess, man. It was tough.
It was. I remember that. It turned
But I
at
was
the
in
last
that-
second just like this one did.
Right. And which we were at a shelter for that. It's so funny. These are like such Floridian things. Like
I know.
other people are like every year you have to worry about going to a shelter because your fucking home could be destroyed, and you're like, yeah, and then it doesn't happen, and then you watch like football and shit. It's straight.
It's a very when it's happening too. It's like you're in your own dimension and bubble when it's happening that the other like the rest of the country isn't like feeling. It's really odd because like when that last hurricane hit, it is just like Charlie. There's all that tension. It kind of starts off with like, oh, I don't think it's hit. Oh, I don't think it's gonna hit. And then all of a sudden the water's disappearing in the store slowly, and then you're like, oh, maybe it is gonna hit. And then it's just
All of a sudden your neighbors have boards up on their windows.
It's that
and you're
slow
like,
build up. And you're like, oh, and then when it finally goes by, then you're just watching every second. Where's it going? Where's it going? And it's odd. This last one, we were staying at my mother-in-law's house, and all the water just pulls in towards the direction of the hurricane, and she has a septic tank, and it just smelled like shit throughout the whole house.
Fuck that.
But it's such an odd thing where like all the water just literally sucked out from the hurricane. It's such a weird thing.
Something like that happens, I'm out.
But by that time,
They're
it's too late.
They're like, the septic tank. And I'm like, I'll see you motherfuckers on the other side. I'm not dealing with that. So
It was bad.
You know,
Yeah,
if I ever go back to Florida, like, which I probably will, like, eventually, I think I'm never leaving for a hurricane again. And I know that sounds like stupid, but like, dude, I'm just gonna board up my house.
Yeah.
And like, fucking find the most like structurally sound spot. And because we left for Irma, which is so funny because everyone was like, you need to evacuate, and then it didn't hit, and then they're like, man, if y'all left, you're a pussy. And I was like,
deserters.
Okay, well, like, what the fuck? So I left because my grandma wanted to leave, and I was like, dude, it's not gonna be like how you think. But she was like, but what if it is? And I was like, okay,
it never has been.
Dude, me and my brother had it like all set up. Well, whatever. We were gonna do a lot of cool shit during that week, and then eventually, let's just say it was gonna get trippy.
Yeah.
But
another album was gonna come out of it.
It could have, man. So, but we ended up driving with her to like Atlanta.
Yeah.
And it's a 7 or 8 hour drive.
Yep. It's long. I've done that.
Took 14 hours.
Oh.
Because of traffic.
Yeah.
And we caravanned. We were in 2 cars because we had dogs with us.
Wow.
I was like, dude, I'm never doing this shit again. Like, it's not worth it.
The most I'm going to do is go to a newly built hotel and stay in there. Because I think it's better to be with other people than your family. Because it's a lot less, I don't know.
Stressful or something?
It's less, yeah. And that was such an odd time.
I'd rather be with my family. Dude, that's so funny. You're like, hey, I'll see you guys when the storm passes. No, I'd rather be with them, but...
I like being with my immediate family.
And my parents were out of town, by the way. They were like, I forget where they were, so they were like nowhere to be found. Because I was like, if she wants to leave that bad, like, have you guys like talked about it? And she's like, well, we're going out of town. I'm like, so we like got stuck with that. But now got my own spot, brand new city, no hurricanes up here. Just gotta worry about winter.
Yeah, that's the only thing you have to worry about is winter.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting about Pittsburgh. It used to be that steel town, and then it's like completely transformed now.
Right. I've learned a lot about it. It's funny, we were talking about influence before, and I was telling you, you know, like jazz and rock and other like hip hop, and has all just been huge for me. And I never knew that Pittsburgh was like a huge jazz hub. Yeah. Like way back in the day. And I was learning, I think most
of the industrial towns, Chicago,
right,
Pittsburgh.
And I was also learning a lot of people here were like making a lot of money that were working in the steel mills. Yeah. So like straight out of high school, they were like, go to college. Like, what the fuck that? Like,
yeah, I'm just gonna do the steel mill.
I'll buy a 2-story house working 8 hours a day at the steel mill. Yeah. In cash.
Might get my fingers chopped off, but.
Anyway.
Okay, so here's the last question for you. What is your American dream?
Not being worried about having to compromise the shit that you love to do other things.
That's a great answer.
Yeah. So, that's probably it.
That's a good one.
Yeah. Can you tell I've thought about that question before?
A little bit. I always say the new American dream is to lose 20 pounds.
Okay, I'll be fucking the next guy who's like meme page is taking off. Dude, there's too much of that shit, man.
There is. Because you're there as soon as you're gone.
And it's companies now too. They're like, LOL, that moment when you drinking a refreshing Coca-Cola. You know what I mean? It's like, what the fuck am I looking at? Like,
oh yeah, the Kickstarters that come, swindle your money, and then they're gone.
Yeah.
A lot of that.
Anyway, guess we're probably approaching the light at the end of the tunnel here.
That's a wrap. So I'm gonna put your links to your new album in the links. The links to the links.
Can I shamelessly plug a couple things?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. Do your plug. Tide Pods. Are you sponsored by Tide Pods?
That's the end of it. So please check out the new album. Styles came out this year. 2 years worth of work. Link in the description. Please click. No. Also, check out the video series on YouTube called Creative Space. There's only 2 episodes out right now, but there's a 3rd coming. It basically highlights YC Collective's process all together. It shows tons of studio sessions that I've hosted, shows that we've done, and you see the progression over time, so that's pretty cool. Also focuses big on the art aspect of it too, and how we have, people in different places. And keep listening to the music. That's it. And look out for more shit soon.
All right, so that was the first episode of Tired and Bored. See you later, my BTs, B's, knees.
Number 1.